very good evening to all. I'm Vijimon. I welcome you all on behalf of Multi-Cloud for You Technologies. It's my pleasure to introduce today's guest, that is Shubha MV, who will be presenting an insightful topic on evoking the better empowered people leadership. Let us begin with a quick overview of Shubha. Shubha is an experienced speaker, OD professional trainer, known for her passion and expertise in the field of organization development. With over 20 years of working experience across various industries and a strong educational background in engineering, she brings a unique perspective and wealth of knowledge to this session. In addition to her extensive experience, Shubha is also a certified coach and facilitator of various psychometric assessments and development tools, including NLP, emotional intelligence from JCA, Hogan assessments, and transactional analysis. She has also received certification in business process mapping from BPM in Germany. You can discover more about her from our Fifth Year speaker profile page. About Fifth Year, it stands for Fifth Industrial Revolution. We are initiative by Multi-Cloud for You to help companies and technologies to openly share their learning and get opportunities worldwide through each other's as well as through our partners worldwide. We are expanding with 25,658 members and 360 existing speakers. We have completed 1,072 sessions successfully till now. Moreover, we have issued 8,467 six certificates so far. We are maintaining a positive relationship with Bata Global, Dell, Brilio, Tiger Analytics, Alibaba Cloud, Data Piper, Philips, Jira, and multiple small and medium companies. We also frequently engage with evangelists and engineers from Microsoft and AWS. We have good partnership with Alibaba Cloud Academy. These are the various certificates we offer as an affiliate with Alibaba Cloud Academy. We are happy to help in building your knowledge, digital presence, and helping you in odd hours when you are looking for jobs through our community. Or you can get it with a single link, that is www.fifthya.com. How to get the certificate? Once you register with the link, you will be directing to this page. Here you can see that green hat download certificate option. Then click on download certificate and provide all the required information. Then you will be asked for a code. Enter the code which will be provided at the end of the session to download the certificate. For any issues, you can contact our Telegram channel, that is telegram.im/multicloud for you. Now the session is over to Subha.
Time now. So welcome again. Just wanted to say a big thank you to Viji and Team Multi-Cloud for hosting this event, and also a space for people to learn and be their brilliant selves. Right, that's my passionate space, learning and development, and you're giving an opportunity for people to be more than who they are and what they could be. Right, those are all possibilities and opportunities. Thanks for inviting me. So without much ado, we will get into a session. We have a very small team of participants, which is actually fantastic for me. The ask from each of you is to engage, right? Feel free to speak up. You can unmute yourself since this is a small team. Anything which crosses beyond 20, I may ask you all to mute and go with the flow of the session, right? Otherwise, feel free to ask, clarify, and then move on. We may not get into too much of a conversation because of limited time. Yeah, keeping that in mind, let's get started. Yeah. Can you all see my screen? Are we good? Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, feel free to talk because This is a leadership session. This is people behavioral space. So it's important that I sense you all. And since you all are off screen, at least audio, I'm looking at the chat window. In case I miss, please do call out and respond. Yeah. These are ways in which I know that you're there on the other side of the screen, right? It helps me get on with the flow better, right? You're enabling me. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that works for me. Yeah. So let's get moving. Evoking the better, empowered people leadership is the topic that I chose for today. Um, it's about the space, the context that we are in, and how can you lead your teams much effectively, keeping in mind about the changing times. Yeah, my name is Shubha Matumal Vital, as Vijay already introduced. Correction here, Vijay, I am Shubha. It's spelled as S-U-B-H-A though, right? But no issues. Yeah, people call me with all kinds of, but this is a place that I can correct. Yeah. Chief Facilitator and MD of Beats HR Consulting and Training OPC Private Limited. This is a new consulting firm that I have brought in, right? And before that, I have about 23 plus years of industry experience, being a management consultant, headed corporates, right? Various experience, freelancer, had my enterprise. I've worked and collaborated with partners for various OD related initiatives. Yeah, that's me. So I won't take too much of your time. As mentioned, I have experience with systems, processes, and people, right? I've been certified. I'm an engineer by qualification. So that side of the brain still works well. So I engage with organizational processes, right? Systemic processes as well as people processes, psychology, behavioral. There are a lot of certifications that I acquired through my tenure, the last 23 years. Yeah. So welcome again. So let's get moving. But before we really get started, I want you all to do a small task, favor, right? This is a check-in, right? If you can go open your mobile, go to your browser, you can open the www.menti.com and feed in the code 36922981. That's the code. Do you see the code? Yeah. With me? Okay. Yes. So let's get clear there. So there's a question for you there. Which side is the bus moving? Your thoughts, your answers are welcome. I can't see the chat window. Okay, nowhere. The arrows meant whether is it left or right, right? Arrows is just for the direction. The question is, that's the bus and it's moving. Which side is the bus moving? Yeah. Thanks, Vikas. Can I have your response? You can speak up. Feel free. Silence is golden in some spaces, but not in the learning space. Yeah, feel free. It's a judgment free zone, right? There's nothing absolutely right or absolutely wrong. So feel free to share. Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts? I can't see the chat window. Let me see. Yeah, I have pop-ups of the chat here. Yes. I haven't heard from anywhere other than Vikas. He says nowhere. People, It's a leadership session, so participation is something that I expect from participants. Stationary. Okay, don't go by the arrow. It's moving. I gave the arrow so that you can make sense of with virtual world. What's my left? What's my right? Can be confusing. So just imagine the bus has to move and is moving. Then is it a left or a right? I'm not pulling. The arrow is just for you to give me an answer whether it's a right side or a left. The direction is not given, right? It's right, right? Yeah, I see rights popping in. Okay. Yeah. Vikas, Maheshwar, any thoughts on why do you say it's right? Can people be unmuted? Is there a possibility? Yeah.
It's already unmuted.
Possibly bus might be
Thank
moving
you.
the rightward direction actually. So from the drivers, I'm thinking like that actually. The road.
Why my hair is moving onto the right? Huh? Why do you
So
say that?
the reason being actually it's a rightward direction which usually it moves actually default actually.
Okay. Default. Okay. Default because Indian roads right hand side, it moves right side, and I'm just giving because there are no doors on the side, right? So the driver must be riding, so it's moving on to the right.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah, that
Yeah.
is right. And what is all present? Yeah. So I'm hoping all of you are present, are actively involved and looking at the screen. So this is my check-in to see whether you're present. I am getting few responses, which is good enough. Expecting the time of the day that we are engaging with and the day of the week that we are engaging with. Yeah. So no worries. Thank you. Keep participating. That's the expectation. Yeah. So let's get moving. So the next question that I have, you can go and feed into the screen on Menti itself. How are you feeling? You have an option to give in the word that you associate to how you're feeling. Are you with me? Mahesh, can you type it into menti.com if that's a possibility?
It's
If you have a
possible
phone or
actually.
yeah.
How are you feeling? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Enter another word
Uh,
they are saying actually. So
you can add 2-3 words, not a problem.
yeah, I submitted it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Right. I see Maheshwar Kumar's answer eagerly positive, enthusiastic, right? So anybody else can tap into how you're feeling and given your answers. Yes. Do you all want the code? Do you all have the code that I shared earlier? Everybody has the code that I shared? Okay. I have few words here. Yeah. So I'm inviting you all into the space, right? This has been a very technical forum. So Interactions may be, it's a one-sided listening. Maybe there are questions in the end. But some of these behavioral sessions, the expectation for you to take away most is by engaging, right? In your space, also, interaction is the most asked out of leaders. So my invitation is, it's okay. There's nothing right or wrong. Feel free, but please jump in. Yeah. Sure, Soumya. Happy. Yeah. I'm definitely tired on a Saturday night. I've got a sore throat. So, but yeah, pretty excited as well, right? To be here. So these are few words that's popping in, but my invitation to each of you, if you're stepping up as a leader, is to get comfortable with the words like feeling, thinking, right? Be a little more, all those things which you call fuzzy or not comfortable, get comfortable, because you're working with a very subjective data, that's people, yeah, in the behavioral space. So my invitation is, I'm introducing you to the space of emotions. Yeah. So fantastic. As long as you can articulate in some form, that's a great place to be. So let's get moving. Yeah. The agenda is already shared. So let's jump into the session, right? It's a future of work. What's the context? Right. So let's understand what is the context, what's happening now in the world, especially when it comes to the future of work. Yeah. Technology advancement, right? It's affecting the way that we work and our workspaces, right? Organizations, people. Technology advancement is one such factor. And the second factor is globalization, right? The world has become a very small place. We are all connected, right? Internet brought us together, mobility brought us together, economy brought us together. People can travel across, right? And organizations understand the need for diversity and those perspectives, different perspectives. So in a way, encouraging people to be mobile, right? So globalization has brought the world together, much closer. And it has a result. The way we used to work about a couple of decades, now the way that we work is very different. On a day-to-day basis, you may be talking to another person across the world, right? Collaborating seamlessly and working, right? Which was not something that we could think of. Yeah. So these are all possibility of globalization. The next one is demography. As globalization is happening, what's happening to the demography? There's a cross culture exchange. People are moving, different ethnicities, right? Different diverse population are co-working, right? And what's happening to the demography, another thing is because of the healthcare, investment in the healthcare, people are living longer, right? You have people working for the age factor, right, long. So you would have seen in many places they extending the tenure of people. Retirement ages are being extended. People are brought back on benches as consultants, right? The workforce, the age is shifting, right? So there's a whole lot of people who are at a later age, right? Ageism as a factor which is coming into diversity. So this part of it, and there is a new young generation who have seen the world through social media, right? Who have experienced technology, who understand what's happening and much abreast with the new trends in technology, right? There is a clash of different demographies, right, in a workspace. So you will, that also affects the way that we work together. So the future of work, the demography again plays a role. Economic shifts. You've seen superpowers, right? Financial, people sitting on oil, having challenges, people finding another mineral somewhere else, China, India, right? Coming into the forefront of economic advantage, right? Because of the talent pool, the skills, the raw material, whatever resources you want to associate, you see the economic shifts are happening across, and that also shapes how organization looks at mapping their strategy. Yeah. Environment and sustainability. There's a big call out for the need for sustainability, right? Especially when it comes to how do you preserve our natural resources. So environmental and sustainability is a big focus for organization. Most of you may be aware, being part of many corporates, right? There is global goals in 2015. Many world leaders have signed up, said that we are going to look at the 17 goals, which is important for the world, right? Alleviating poverty, education, it's under diversity, it's under infrastructure, it's under digitization or information. There are so many aspects that is required to make this world a better place for people, right? So many organizations have adopted it as their CSR goals, right? And this is called Global Goals 2030. It's 2030 is the year, right? 2015, 15 years period is when all organizations, all countries are going to be focused on making this a reality. A very focused side of sustainability is what's being spoken about. Um, if you don't know, please go check globalgoals.org. Yeah, this is something that's been there around, and people are volunteering in that space. Many organizations are doing great work, and there are a lot of case studies under that if you're interested. Yeah. And of course, political and regulatory changes, right? This again forces organizations to look at different ways of working. For example, one of the things I would say is COVID. When right COVID-19 happened, how countries put in different restrictions and ways of engagement, right? Um, Virtual ways of working, collaboration, everything came into place. So technology was designed to make it possible, right? When there is a need, one need is the mother of all inventions. So when there was a need that was called out, right? Many ways of engagement, such as WebEx became popular. WebEx was always there. There were other Zoom and other kind of collaborative tools that came into the fore, but very popular now, right? For example, again, the sanctions, US, China, which we can call out, all that would make a difference. And what about even countries, India investing in digital India? How has that shifted the way of engagement? What new opportunities have opened up? What got shut down? Right? All that shifts have happened, right? Because there are some of these factors which is very external, right? These trends force organizations to look at ways of working differently. Yeah. So far, I hope this is clear. Yeah. So when I'm talking about the world around, I'm going to introduce a concept called VUCA. You would have heard about VUCA. This is one of the concepts in leadership space for a very long time. This concept was brought in foray during the Cold War between Russia and US, and US Army said, okay, we have to look at things very differently about what's happening around the battlefield and how they have to strategize. And it's a leadership concept, right? And which has been adopted and used across organizations. So just to say the world is a VUCA world, when they say we are talking about, it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, right? These are the reality. Nothing. I mean, I remember my father worked in one organization for whole of his career, right? 30, 40. You go in, you know what is your role, what job you have to do, you do it, you come back home. There is a pattern associated. This is what to expect, and this is how it will progress. They were a clarity. Yeah. And over the period, what happened is now the change is so very much in different spaces, right? People have to change quickly. Yeah, the ask is, how are you adaptable, how are you agile, right? And with changes, it can be such a frustrating space for people. So about resilience, how do they face it, how do they hold on, how do they thrive, right? How will they persevere? All that is about how people, what people think, how people feel, and what their attitude is, what their mindset is, right? It's a lot of behavioral aspect that comes into foray to ensure people move through the change and get on to the other side. As organization, all organizations go through change, but how do you make it effective, and how do you make the change sustain, right, is something very very important. Most of the time change efforts fail because it is not sustainable. People don't take the change very well, right? Somewhere they drop the ball. It doesn't get embedded in the system. It's because change is not comfortable process for people. Are you with me? You all agree? Are we okay with change? Yeah. Yeah. Silence. I'm going.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah. So we will have one clarity here, okay? When there's no sound, I'm going with an S. I'm a very positive person. So I will just take it as S from all of you. Yeah. So nobody's challenging the thought there. Yeah. Thank you, Maheshwar Kumar, for answering. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so VUCA is a reality. And VUCA is the world that we are in. And as leaders, we have to enable ourselves and our teams to traverse through the changes ahead, right? Imagine uncertainty, what it could do to people, right? So the VUCA world, this is just an introduction. So you're aware of a concept called VUCA, right? Keeping this changes all the future of work, what affects the factors in mind, let's look at what are some of the key changes, key trends in the workspace. Yeah, definitely we all know about it. I'm not calling out something radical out of the thing, but you should be aware, very conscious in your engagement, saying, okay, this is a reality, and therefore, what is the need? Yeah. So we are talking about automation and AI, right? What is automation? Automation, how has it affected? Right? Automation has taken over tasks. Yeah. Machines can do a better, efficient task. That's the reality. And people make machines, right? Automation is the need. AI is happening, right? I'm sure that all of you are aware or heard it at least once by now what ChatGPT is, right? AI is a real thing happening now. I remember when I was doing my engineering, I had a project on neural networks, right? Where we had to forecast a certain thing and machine learning was happening. So I said, okay, so how would it come by, right? It was not something that we could think of. Then Google happened, right? For all this data is required. And data happen. People are engaged on internet. There are contents on internet, right? Those are inputs for AI. And what a wonderful space that is for AI to learn, and things are happening now. You open any of the social media, you will find 100 sites .ai and what it can do, right? Everything. So automation and AI is a reality, and when automation AI happens, you can expect it taking on certain tasks. So people who were doing the task become redundant. Yeah. But organization, efficiency, cost per se, right? Cost effective solutions happen. Yeah. Remote hybrid working. The ways of working has changed. Remote and hybrid, right? Basically, we are social beings, right? We need connections. During COVID, we have realized that we still can work, we still can be productive, But end of the day, we are not fulfilled. People burn out. It has other fallouts such as well-being, because connections are so important for people to be human again, right? Those conversations are important. So there are spaces. So what happens? You have collaborative tools that people could use. Yeah. So remote and hybrid working, people have learned and adapted into ways of working, but how can you make it sustainable? Right? What are some of those core important aspects of it being called an organization? Right? Are we missing out some of those essence of an organization by people staying very far off? Yeah. But the reality is, as long as work is getting done, it's a good thing. But we have to find what are the ways can we relieve the stresses of remote working, right? But the reality is, it's going to be remote and hybrid working. Yeah. So I have found it personally challenging, right? You have to talk to somebody, you set a calendar, right? I walk by, I tap on people, have a conversation, I clarify my doubt, or I share, right? I might ask with anybody, but that doesn't happen. So if I have to ask anybody, I'll ping on right, I'll ping, or I'll have to set up a calendar and have a conversation. It becomes quite formal for a person like me, but some people do it really beautifully. Yeah. And some people, I may say, okay, that's too much of a work for me, let me not even reach out to the person, I will do it myself. Right? So what happens, how we used to engage, so many things we've pulled back onto ourselves because of how we are doing, whether it's effective for us. For some people it's not comfortable, the reality. Yeah. So if you're leaders, how do you create those spaces for people to connect, the social connections? Yeah, work related, people will be forced to, because it directly may result in their performance or feedback and all of it, right? But there are other tacit information, right? The social connections, the relationships, that's important. Those spaces have been limited. So you have to say, this is the future of work. So therefore, what would change for people? And therefore, how do I ensure those gaps are being taken care? Yeah. Learning. I would say reskilling. Right. Important part. Right. Because jobs are being taken off. I have to adapt to something else that comes my way. And technology's advancement is nothing, right? What was, I remember I learned Fortran. I don't know how many of you would have heard that language, right? When we studied engineering. Yeah, that was a, right? How many things are evolving? What is the new technology? What is the trend? How do you upgrade yourself? It's a continuous learning, right? So learning becomes a need of the hour because things are changing, things are fluid. So how is that space for people? How are people introduced? And multi-cloud, this space is a great place for people to get an insight into what possibly is happening, right? And anchor on from there, right? So use those spaces to understand and provide that space for your teams as well to enable their journey. Reskilling becomes so important. Yeah. Gig economy. You'd have heard of this term. It's been there for some time, but we have seen this thriving now, right? Gig economy is like take on a gig, right? It's a part-time engagement, right? I remember in organizations in India a few months back, right? You had a moonlighting issue where people were working side business, that's what they called, or whatever. People are making money, right? If you imagine after COVID, during COVID, there has been a big realization, right? Life realization. What are we doing? Right? What are my dreams? What are my passions? People have introspected, reflected, right? Um, People have prioritized things very differently in their life spaces. Many people even left jobs, if you have seen, right? So, job is a part of life, and job is not life. right? That is a big realization people have had. They said, yeah, job, why am I doing? Some people are doing it because they're passionate about what they do. Some people are doing it because that's a part of making money, right? Life needs money, and this is where I will make money, right? People like jobs because they like to be associated with people and colleagues, their friends, their relationships that they have built. Various needs for engaging with a job, right, at work. So now people have realized I can pursue my passion in some form. I can make money here in other place by doing something that I love, but I'll have a stable job. Security is important. So people may find different ways of making money. So they may take multiple projects. There are a lot of contract workers who would pop in with different skill sets, right? So people are learning, upgrading very unique skills, everything, so that they are there to do multiple small contractual gigs, right? So the ways of job for organizations, it's really good. It's not a full-time employment. They have to take based on need, right? They don't have to really plan for an entire. So gig, they may hire contract workers on project basis and engage with them, right? So it's important to look at reskilling in multiple places to not become redundant, right? And gig economy is something that the world is going towards, right? So that is also a reality that we have to be mindful of. And of course, organizations are very conscious about globalization, mobility, and how dispersed the teams are, and therefore the DEI aspect is something they're driving, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We earlier spoke only about diversity or diversity and inclusion. The equity word has come into play. So you need to know what is the diversity, equity, and the need for inclusion in organizations, because you may be working with a diverse set of people. Are there biases? Are you being objective? Are you being inclusive? How does diversity promote innovation, right? Those diverse perspectives add value to ideas, right? Are we hearing all voices? Yeah. One is how, and it improves engagement, it improves innovation. It talks about any space in organization, diversity will enable. But the challenge is, when there is diversity, there is a room for conflict, difference of opinions and values, right? But the whole objective is creating a safe space where I respect you, you respect mine. Nothing more, right? You respect the person, and everybody is different. They're coming from their own life experience. And those biases that we have, how do we work with it, right? It's all mindset again, right? Reframing some of it. So DEI is also something organization talk about. As leaders, you need to understand the need of all of this and what is the impact of it. My invite is for you all to look at some of these and say, okay, in your workspace, how is that going to transpire? What would happen to you, your team members? How can you equip, right, the teams to be their brilliant self? Make this as an opportunity to grow and succeed. Yeah. Right. What is the impact for you to reflect on? This is a question that I'm keeping it open, on people and on organization. Yeah. So this is a standard textbook definition. What is leadership? Yeah. Leadership is the process of influencing and guiding individuals or groups to achieve a common goal, right? So leadership shift. If leadership has been something called influencing people, right, to achieve a common goal. If you look at leadership, predominantly, the focus is setting the goals, right? Showing the goals, enabling strategizing to get to the goals, right? Those aspects that were looked at was external markets, right? And internal needs, right? Cost, revenue, all of those numbers being put together. And then the common goal was the focus. Common goal is always a task, right? It is through task is where you achieve the outcome. So how do you drive task? Has a different set of an energy, right? How do you tell people to complete, do the work, right? Work to be done. Yeah. So the focus was on the goals. If you have to be a successful leader, you have to achieve that common goal. Yeah. This is an organization number. We all agree. We all have to be aligned, which is how? Because organization is a business entity and numbers are important. We shouldn't ignore the fact that everything translates into numbers. Yeah. But as a leader, it's important to understand the results or the numbers are being achieved by people. So you working on just a result or process or technical aspects of it to get to an outcome is good, but it is just at that point of time on a technical thing is not going to serve. If you invest it on a people saying you learn this and you understand this, you know the importance of it, and I'm going to support you, you see the sustainability of that engagement for further projects. How much of it would you relieve yourself from, right? You're empowering people. Yeah. So the focus gets shifted. So if you invest in people, the byproduct, the outcome is the result, right? The focus, the ask for leaders, people leaders especially, is you invest in people, right? Give them what they need, give them clarity, be there where they need. What they have to do, they will do it. They are unable to do because there are a lot of disturbance around them. Yeah. So you have to be actively engaged with your team members to understand and accordingly provide the right kind of support. This is John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership that I speak about. It's different levels, right? People look up to you. You can influence people by just the first level is position. I am a manager, you're my team member, you have to listen to me. And they will listen to you just because you're a manager, because they have to. Yeah. It's not a commitment, right? It's because you told me and I will do what you told me, not beyond nothing. There's nothing beyond it. It's just the position. The second lead of leadership is you establish great relationship with your team members. They know you, you know them, right? And that leads to permission, because they want you to lead them, because there's a relationship. They know who you are as a person, right? They want you to lead them. It becomes a little better. Your leadership influence becomes much better. The third one is production. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization, how you have made an impact, who you are as a person. Your performance, right, is something that they really are inspired by, and what the value that you bring, right, to the organization. They look up to you as a leader. Many technical expertise become leaders, right? Leadership position, because people respect them for their performance, their production. The next level of leadership is people development, right? People follow you because of what you have done for them, your investment in them, right? So they see value. You have invested, and I am going to make that happen for you, right? Uh, and the next level is the pinnacle. They respect you for what you represent. It can be an ideology. It can be a guru sitting somewhere. It can be a political leader sitting somewhere. It resonates with you, and you follow them for whatever, whoever the person that they are, what ideology they back, right? But in organization, right, the helm is people development, which you can do, right? You may not have a different set of ideology, very different from anybody, but what you can do is definitely through actions is people development, investing in people. Yeah, that's definitely within you. I'm quickly mindful of time. People-centric leadership. People-centric leadership is the leadership shift where common goals, it said, okay, we are here. Any decision we make, we will take into account how it affects people. People became a core part of decision making. How do we support them? How do we enable them? Right? It's called people centric, human centric, but I've brought this together so that you understand the need that people are the focus, right? With all the changes happening, if you have to sustain as an organization, your investment should be in the right place. That's people. Yeah. Characteristic of an empowering people leader, calling it out. EI, emotional intelligence, right? Effectively practices, empathize. Do you know your people, what they're going through? What are their challenges? Do you listen to them, right? It's important, the emotional intelligence. Are you aware of how you show up? Yeah, it's about your side of the story that's important. So EI is something that great leaders should be aware of, right? And creating a space for safety, trust, and psychological safety, a big need of the hour, especially as you know, in the last, I think, 2022, about 150,000 people lost their job. In January itself, another lakh plus people lost their jobs. Organizations are letting go of people, right? So they can feel a breach of trust. There can be a lot of insecurities in the system for people. But the reality is, how are we introducing jobs to them? Right? The reality is, it's a contract signed and it's a business entity. They'll have to look at the cost and they are making a decision which is for the larger organization, but people get affected. The reality, if you make people prepared, resilient, right, emotionally equipped, right, and have build their skills over the period where they can look outside and say, okay, they will find one, right? How ready are they? How empowered are they? How can you make that happen, right? So trust is something that's breached in organizations. I don't know about any of your organizations. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you need to know if there's a trust issue, people won't share openly, right? You know the value of data. Data is all that's which we are talking about, right? If there's no trust in the system, the data you have is going to be corrupted. When the data is corrupted, how can you solve? How can you use that data to get outcomes? It won't work. So you need to know and create a safety where people have that relationship with you. They trust you, they trust their team members, and speak about their challenges, speak about their needs, right? Create, foster, so you are listening to them, right? So that safety that comes from the leaders, right? You're actually part of culture curation. The next one is open communicators, active listeners. You have to be comfortable in communicating, right? I've heard people saying, what about introverts? What about challenges? Yes, we all have different personalities, we have our challenges, but step up if there's a need, or if you have a real medical condition, or you have another issue where you are not comfortable, invite, ask for help, people to step in, delegate, but make that happen. Because if you're not acting on some of these aspects, there is going to be a gap. Yeah. Prioritize well-being. We all know the call out for well-being. Enable learning and development opportunities. Very important. The world, you have to prepare people, right, to changes, growth, even growth happening at a rapid pace, right? People have to scale themselves up and be ready for the next big thing that's coming their way, right? So please do facilitate collaboration and inclusion, very, very conscious. And next is, you have to be flexible, knowing people are different, individual needs are different. How can you be adaptive is the question. Yeah. So you as leaders, if Each of you have a role to play. If you're influencing people, I'll call you leaders. So you have a role to be adaptive, be mindful of what their needs are. Yeah. Won't take too much of a time here. This is different zones. When people are going from one, right? If change happens, they're asked to be something different. They have to learn. They have to go through different zones to be, right? Growth happens when you explore potential. It's not easy. I'm comfortable. This is how I'm working, right? I'll work for another 30, 40 years. Nobody will question. As long as I'm doing my work, it's okay. That world is gone, right? It's no more there. You have to be more, right? What do you bring to the table? If change happens, how can you adapt quickly, right? So you have to go beyond a zone called fear zone, which can be very taxing for people, because change will ask you to push and learn something new. Yeah. So, and this place, if you have to get through, you need support, you need mentors, you need coaches, you need highly motivated individuals, right? So how do you support your team to grow? Yeah. So that's a journey, and how can you support? To enable the journey, my invitation to you is look within, look at yourself and say, how has your journey been? Have you enabled yourself? Because if you're not enabled yourself, you will get triggered, you will get pulled into spaces that may end up, that may not work for you or for the person. Yeah. So just ensure that you consciously invest in your leadership journey. Yeah. Technical leadership is I shaped, right? The depth. You've already built that. And that's why most of you would grow into that ladder of getting promoted by performance. At one place, just your performance will not be enough, right? You have to explore beyond what you know. So your learning has to be vast. And at one place, you may have to explore topics that is not your functional topics. You may have to go beyond and understand, what does people team HR mean? What does um, finance mean? How do you manage budgets? Right? What is security requirement? What is IT? How do I create inclusive space? Different topics of diverse topics. You'll have to equip yourself so that you have a very wide perspective. As leaders, as you grow up, the expectation is you widen your knowledge base. Yeah. So the ask is, it starts with your journey. The first thing I'll ask you is who are you as a person, your self discovery, right? What are your needs? What are your triggers? What motivates you? What is that you don't like? What's of interest in your organization itself? When you're going through highs and lows, how you're feeling, just make a note of it. What happened, right? That's a great place to know, okay, this didn't sit well with me. It's a great piece of information. So, next time you're facing that same situation, you are much more prepared. Yeah. Your development journey, your well-being is important. And the next one, I'll talk about networking. If you're a leader, you have to consciously collaborate, not just for you, for your team as well, right? um, then from DEI, understand what DEI is, um, become an ally, an upstander, a champion, right? How do you deliver? How do you create spaces so people, everybody, the bias in the system does not affect one another? You all are beings of bias, right? Psychological bias is something, unconscious bias is something that organizations have to deal with. So how can you minimize that? Then, of course, growth mindset as a concept that you can engage with. Sorry, we may not have too much of a time to get into these details, but this is an introduction saying the way that you're going to look at has to shift. Yeah. Empower yourself with the right mindset and skills to appreciate the value of your engagement to empower others. That's your leadership journey. Yeah. Empowering yourself and empowering others. Yeah. Evoke the better. That's the ask. I know of Tom Peters as a management, you know, you call him, right? He was in McKinsey. He's a veteran in the space. So he said, leaders, right, do not create followers. They create leaders, right? When you enable, empower one, another leader is born. That's when you become a true leader. Yeah, that's the journey. So, any questions so far? Yeah. So, with that, yes.
So you provide leadership trainings actually?
Yes, I provide leadership training. I provide all kinds of behavioral training for individuals, teams, and organization. We are in the space of that. And I'm also a coach, leadership coach. So one-on-one coaching is something that we do at Beats HR. So if anybody is interested in engaging or curious to know what we do, feel free to write to us. Yeah. info@beatshr.com or shubha@beatshr.com. And that's my number there. Feel free to reach out at any point. I'll be more than happy to support your development journey. Yeah. Have you all taken down this number? Yeah. With that, if there are no questions, then being mindful of the day, Saturday at 10, I would want to wind up the session as well. Yeah. Any questions? Otherwise, are we good?
Excellent session, Shubha. Thanks. I appreciate your time, and it was a very wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thanks for participating. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank
Nice
you.
session.
All the very best, all of you. Yeah. And keep in touch. Yeah. Take care.
Thank you, Subha, for such a wonderful session. It's really
Thank,
informative, actually. Yeah,
thank
I
you so
hope that
very much.
now I hope that now everyone has a different perspective on leadership and the importance of leadership. Great thanks to all the participants for your valuable time. For downloading the certificate, the details have been already shared in the chat. Once you go into the link, you need to enter the code U8G3J7. I repeat, U8G3J7. Then you can download the certificate. So once again, thanks to all of you. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Thank you all. Yeah, that's us. Thank you. Take care. Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
Yeah.